Recording practice will start soon. And we are recording. So it's a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this fantastic video. Simon here from Crew, talking to Mike Kimpton from MessageMedia about a role we're hiring. And we thought we'd try something different. We thought we'd do a bit of a verbal, visual JD rather than the dot point sort of document that most people get. And I thought it'd be a chance for us to chat about the role, chat about the business, chat about what the future might look like, interview process, and see if this piques anybody's interest. Mike, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to do this. We're keen to make this something really super short form, to give people just enough info to make a decision whether they want to apply for a role or talk more about it. So why don't we cut straight to it? We're hiring the role for you in your team. You're working at MessageMedia. What do MessageMedia do? What's the business?
What are MessageMedia and who is MessageMedia? We're an SMS gateway. So we send messages to customers' handsets. If you've seen a message telling you to come to a doctor's appointment, if you've got a message to tell you to do your click and collect, that's most likely sent through us. We're Australia's biggest gateway. So we send most of the messages in Australia. We hit every phone in Australia a couple of times a week. So chances are you're hearing from us often. We're also New Zealand's biggest SMS gateway, and we're expanding into other countries like America and Europe.
Nice, beautiful. And so what's your role in the business?
My role, I'm an engineering manager at MessageMedia, and the company or the engineering department is split up into 3 tribes. So I'm responsible for one of those tribes, which is the ecosystems tribe. And what we do is we build turnkey solutions that sit on third-party platforms. So we have applications on Shopify, on NetSuite, on Salesforce, on BigCommerce, platforms like those. Then people that use those platforms can jump in, install our app, and start sending messages to all of their customers.
Perfect. And I think that's sort of a relatively recent sort of strategy from the business. It used to be sort of mainly direct to consumer, and then building this ecosystem sort of framework and this strategy to access more customers across those platforms was super sensible.
Yeah, that's right. It's only about 2 years old, and it's proving to be really successful. And we're going to where the customer is. You know, We've already got a lot of the Australian market. We've got a lot of the New Zealand market. So how do we continue to expand? It's to go where they are instead of forcing people to come to us.
Yeah, perfect. And so the role we're hiring, a development manager, in your own words, why don't you give us an overview of what the
development manager. So we're looking for a development manager to look after a couple of our teams. So we've got a CRM space in ecosystems, and they handle things like NetSuite and Salesforce and a couple of other of our applications. So what we need a development manager to do is come in, set up a couple of teams that haven't formed yet. So make some hiring decisions, pick some key players that are going to help them succeed in their strategy. They're there to look after the people. We're people first, so grow people's careers, mentor them, make sure they're set up for a good future. They're there to look after the technology. So we want to make sure that our apps are super stable and they're loved by our customers and they do all the right things. And then they're there as well to help grow our process and grow our ways of working. So if we're not doing something well, or if we've got a bad process, we want them to be empowered to come in and make improvements wherever they can.
Yeah, perfect. And so hands-on in the sense that they're not deep in code, but they're running all the rituals. So they're responsible for sprint planning and estimations.
Yeah, that's right. So they're hands off. We do want them making sure that they're setting up the teams with good tech practices. So they're not actually in the code, but they might want to review some of the code, make sure the teams are working to the best of their ability and making sure that they've got good programming practices in place. And they're empowering the team to make the right Scrum decisions and to run the stand-ups, to run the sprint planning, the retros, the reviews, things like that, so that the work actually ends up getting delivered and gets delivered in a timely and good quality fashion.
Perfect. And in your opinion, what makes this role interesting?
MessageMedia is a really cool company. So we're growing, and particularly ecosystems, being that it's only a few years old, there's a lot of expansion happening here. So I think the role is really interesting because we've got teams that haven't been decided yet. So there's a lot of empowerment there to say, I want people onshore, I want them offshore. These are the skill sets that I want. This is how we're going to execute a certain strategy. We're also still, a young-ish company. Like, we were founded in 2000, so it's not that young, but there is still some of those startup vibes around our business. So there's a lot that you can sink your teeth in, and just a lot of opportunity floating around the department, but also the wider business, that if you're willing to, and if the teams are under control, you can go and grab that and just learn new skills, get involved in things that you wouldn't usually get the opportunity at, maybe at a larger, more structured company, or potentially even at a startup. You just wouldn't have the same stability and control.
Yeah, perfect. And I mean, obviously, I think anyone who knows me knows I've been recruiting for you in the business for a while. I think what I love about the business is, stable, secure, as I said, sort of been running for 20-something years, but still has the vibe of fast growth, continually learning business. So I think, for me, it sort of gives the best of both worlds to people who are looking for a role like this. If we talk about the interview process for a second, so I think first sort of proper interview, be with yourself, looking for conversations, not interrogations, is kind of the language that I use with people. And a chance
it's definitely conversation. So it would be myself and another engineering manager at MessageMedia, and we're really wanting to uncover a couple of things. I think first and foremost, is this role for you? So from your perspective, are you actually going to be interested? Are you going to be engaged? Is this right? So we'll talk about the day-to-day, what it looks like, where the future is for the role, what the challenges might be, what the easy parts might be. And we really just want to make sure that you're comfortable. We don't want you coming in and hating work every day. So we'll set that straight, and then it'll be a conversation to make sure that, you're capable, you're willing, and, that it's right for both of us.
Yeah. And I think that's just so important at the moment, is that people can feel that interviews are a two-way conversation, them getting as much rather than always the employer. Perfect. So we're ready to start interviewing now. We're super keen to talk to people.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, whether it's direct on our YouTube channel or we've reached out to you, there'll be a link attached to this for the job ad. You can find a PD, you can apply directly. You can reach out to me directly and have a conversation. And if you are interested and we think it's the right thing for you, I'd love to introduce you to Mike and set up a first conversation and see if we can get this moving. Mike, thanks so much. Lovely to see you, my friend, as ever. Appreciate your time. Have a brilliant day.
Likewise. You too. Thanks, Simon. See ya.